Raheem with Eddie Hearn, and very first thing I gotta do is commend you because you get enough stick, and so sometimes when you do things right, someone's gotta mention it. I see it's Usyk versus Joshua.
Yeah.
I mean, Joshua's clearly the bigger name in boxing, but he's the champion.
He's the champion. I mean, every now and again, I always believe that the champion should go first. Now, when they're both champions, or someone's, I'll give you a good example, Canelo v. Bivol. Canelo was challenging, but Canelo is also the undisputed super middleweight world champion. In that instance, it was Canelo. This has to be, because this is one of the reasons, Raheem, this is the mindset you have to have going into this fight. Challenger, got nothing. Champion, got everything. Dethrone him, take everything back from him. You know, not, I'm the A side here. And you know, Josh has never been like that, but he's certainly not got that mentality going into this fight. He's coming into this fight as a challenger.
And that said, there has been so much accomplished in British boxing on the back of Anthony Joshua, and credit to you by Matchroom's.
Raheem, you know one thing that pisses me off? Yeah? I wouldn't be here without Anthony Joshua. I don't think you'd be here, not on this planet, but I don't think you would be travelling around the places you've travelled, right? In Britain, in Saudi Arabia.
He was my first fight.
Right. So, yet people, like fighters, are so indebted to what this guy has done. He's always taken challenges. He's always tried to be a role model and an ambassador for the sport and the next generation. Yet, sometimes he still don't get the credit for his resume or for the role he's played in the development of British boxing. And I'm not asking you to like get down on your knees and worship this guy. I'm just saying respect him. If you don't want to respect him for the reasons about being a role model and ambassador, respect his resume. You know the resume in heavyweight boxing. Like, if you don't think it's the best resume in heavyweight boxing, even if you don't, it's number 2. So I don't get it. But sometimes people are so successful and they feel like, some people feel like AJ's manufactured. He's not. He's just incredibly marketable, incredibly talented, and had an amazing career.
I'd say further than that, boxing critics are maybe the most critical in sports.
Very true.
But what I would take exception to is it seems like, from the British side even, that people are waiting for him to demise.
Yeah. Brits are like that, mate. Brits are like that. When you're losing, or you're close to winning, the Brits love you, mate. But when you're at the top of the tree, they don't like it as much. So it's almost like with AJ, they've made some, he's got huge fan base and people love him, but many go, nah, he's done, AJ. Off he goes. Right. I'll tell you what, if he wins this fight on Saturday, and I believe he will win this fight on Saturday, please give him the respect of being one of the great heavyweights, certainly of our era, but of all time. Because Usyk is pound for pound number 1, unquestionable. So, what are you going to say if he beats him? That Usyk was overhyped? Like, we'll have that conversation now. Is Usyk overhyped? Right? I think we all say the answer is no. Right? You agree with that? So therefore, if AJ wins this fight, that's a hell of a win, right?
Right.
So,
the global appeal of Joshua, which we had a discussion about some 2 years or so ago, hasn't been accomplished. It's certainly not in America.
He sold out Madison Square Garden in his one and only fight there, which hardly anyone ever does. He's come to the Middle East and broke records in terms of purses that no one's ever done in the sport. His viewing figures, his international TV deals in territories are ones that no one has ever seen or experienced. His global sponsorship deals with the likes of Beats and Under Armour see this man on billboards in every major city around the world. You can never conquer everything in a way that maybe you want to conquer, especially when you're talking about a global star. But certainly the best way to describe it is there has never been a fighter with global appeal like Anthony Joshua in terms of TV deals, in terms of purses in international territories, in terms of commercial sponsorship deals, right?
Well, okay, I may not have all the facts and figures in the way that you've laid them out, but from the fan perspective, what I do notice is when Joshua lost in New York, it seemed that Tyson Fury kind of stepped into that void since he didn't do the rematch in New York and continued to pursue his career here and in England. that Tyson Fury is more better known by boxing fans in America even than Joshua.
I would agree, because he has boxed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in America. Right.
So for good reason. I'm not saying that this is a stick against Joshua.
There's a lot more countries than your old good country in America.
We'd agree that America's
like
most important.
Not necessarily, but it's a big country. It's a big market, and maybe Tyson Fury is bigger in that market than AJ. Is he bigger in the Middle East? No. Is he bigger in China? No. Is he bigger? I mean, so therefore, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of an irrelevant debate, but.
Well, what I was getting at was that I know that.
I've never said that right now, as we stand here, Tyson Fury is not a global star of boxing.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, if he were to fight here, it would be as big as it gets.
Maybe.
Especially, I mean, I think this fight would be in the UK if it were to be Joshua Fury, obviously. But my point being, that was a goal of yours and Joshua's some few years back. This fight here, obviously, everything's on the line, but including what happens next. So many Brits, as Johnny Nelson of name, have said, well, if this is the end of Joshua Usyk and Usyk is successful, that's also the end of Joshua completely. I realize that you expect Joshua to win this fight. No question. But it is heavyweight boxing. If by some unfortunate account on your part, Usyk wins, is there any expectation that Joshua finishes his career?
Everything in that respect is over to the individual, right? All I can tell you is AJ physically is in the absolute prime of his life and his career. He's still improving and still learning about the division and about the sport. He still wants it more than ever. So on that basis, what planet does anyone live in where if you lose to the pound for pound number one of the sport, you go, well, it's time to hang him up, mate. You'd be going, I mean, Derek Chisora's over there, who's had about 20 losses, right? He's still going, enjoying himself, just beat Kubrat Pulev in the top 15. AJ can steamroll through probably 99.9% of every heavyweight on the planet. So it baffles me. Now, the moment to retire is when you wake up and you go, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want it anymore. I'm not hungry anymore. And in boxing, once you have that, it's time to go. I'm telling you, at the moment, he's so far away from that mindset. Like all he's asking to do is be more active. You know, he looks at the pandemic and we know he only boxes twice a year. These events are so big. He's saying, I want to box 4 times a year, really. So that doesn't sound like someone that hasn't got the hunger anymore.
And you've talked about the kind of mentality of some in the UK, and they want to tear you down at the top, but nobody loves a comeback story. Nobody loves a hero return more than America.
Yeah.
So, again, I realize who you expect to win, but there is a world that you have to, as a promoter, as the chairman of Matchroom, think about all possibilities. Wilder's back. Yeah. Fury is likely to fight the winner if it's Usyk. Can you see a potential next step for Joshua back in the American market and finally get that Wilder fight, even if there are no belts on the line?
Honestly,
would you entertain that?
Right now, I mean, certainly Deontay Wilder, I mean, I actually reached out to Shelley Finkel the other day because I've got so much money for Deontay Wilder in an offer, but they never come back to me, so I don't know whether Deontay Wilder doesn't want to hear about that offer or whatever. But right now, as I stand here, I am honestly not thinking about any other fight for AJ than Saturday night. They all come through victory. Do you know what I mean? I think if he loses, the Wilder fight is there. If he wins, all he's thinking about is that final fight with Fury to win all the belts. But the Dillian Whyte fight is a fight, win or lose, that will probably happen again. The Deontay Wilder fight is a fight that will probably happen again. Do you know what I mean? The Usyk 3 fight might happen again. The Tyson Fury fight, win or lose, might happen again. There are so many fights out there for AJ, but this is one of the few moments. And you know what I like this moment is, over the years, so many times before fights, even as early as the Parker fight, the Takam fight, the Povetkin fight, the Ruiz 1 fight, people were talking about the undisputed. Yeah, you're fighting Andy Ruiz here in Madison Square Garden, but what about Deontay Wilder? You know, Oh, you're fighting Josie Parker. Yeah, we know that's a unification. But what about Tyson? This is for the first time. I actually feel like, fuck everybody else. I don't care. Of course, that'll follow. But just win on Saturday. It's almost like too much on the line to even worry about anything else. If he wins, he's the biggest star in boxing by a mile. And everything will fall in place from there.
And lastly, we've had this discussion almost in the same circumstances, in the same country before Ruiz. Where is Joshua's mentality? Everybody's a pop psychologist and trying to figure out where his head is at. Well, with an added bit of motivation from Usyk, to say the least. His country's at war. He secured the rights for his countrymen to see this fight. He participated in the war effort. He seems to be coming in with as much motivation and focus as a fighter could have, or
with a lot of emotion. We don't know, Raheem.
You believe that could be a distraction? I was going to ask, could it work against him?
It could be a massive motivation, and it could mean that he puts a performance together that comes out of inspiration for his country. Or he could be feeling emotional and down, and it could affect his performance. I have absolutely no idea. You're talking about a tremendous talent, tremendous fighter who's mentally very strong as well. They're both ready to go.
And Joshua's mentality has been questioned, as they do any fighter who loses. Where does his fire come from at this stage? He said the belts don't matter.
Winning, being a competitor. When you're a winner in life and you love competing, you hate to lose. Some people don't mind about losing. Yeah? Some people love to win. And that's why the mindset for this fight is about winning. It's about beating the guy that just beat you. Forget the belts. And of course, he wants the belts, but this is more than belts, more than money. This is just, this guy beat me last time. I want to make sure I beat him this time.
Radio Raheem with Eddie Hearn. Speaking about the winner's mentality, we'll see who has it this Saturday night in Jeddah. Usyk versus Joshua. Good luck on the night. Thank you for the time. Radio Raheem with Eddie Hearn.